Okay, welcome back to solo role manging with Tomb of the Serpent Kings and 13th Age on Foundry Virtual Tabletop. All those things are true. So if you watched the whole previous video, you know, we went over a lot of stuff about 13th Age. We went over stuff about Foundry. We went over all our 4 characters here, all that sort of stuff. And eventually we did begin Tomb of the Serpent Kings, and we got into like the second room here. And we fought some skeletons, and it was all pretty good. So, in the interim, I probably should have read the Mythic GM emulator book some more. But instead, I read over the 13th Age 2nd edition draft rulebook that they've put out. 2nd edition's on Kickstarter right now, and I have backed it because I think it's positive. I think it's good. So it gives you access to the preview kind of draft that they have currently, and it's definitely an evolving thing. They had an alpha, and apparently they've changed quite a bit from the alpha, and they're going to continue to get feedback and change things based on what people say and want. And so far, I would say pretty good stuff. It's not a major revision of the rules. It's not like 4th edition to 5th edition D&D or something like that. From what I understand, like any classes from 1st edition are pretty much compatible with 2nd edition. Any adventures and stuff are compatible. But if you just stick with 2nd edition, there is quite a few improvements in a lot of areas. So one other thing that I would say I didn't care for much, but I understand, is the changes to the fighter. So right now, the fighter in 1st edition has these flexible attacks, which are all triggered after you swing, and you pick a flexible attack. The 2nd edition fighter is much more kind of traditional, sort of 4th edition D&D fighter, where you just have different you have different maneuvers. So like Grim Intent now is just an attack that you do, and if you hit, then the next time you would miss with an attack, you add a weapon die. So it's basically somewhat of the same effect, except it's flipped. Now you declare that you're using it beforehand, and it activates on a hit, rather than declaring it afterwards on a miss. It's definitely, I think, easier to understand for just someone walking in that isn't too familiar with stuff. I mean, the fighter, I guess, it kind of makes sense, like I said, that the fighter should be fairly brain dead easy for people that just want a brain dead easy melee class. But that's why I'm saying the nice thing is that it's all going to be compatible. So I think I've already seen someone do just a conversion of this fighter for 2nd edition, and they called it like Battle Master or something. So yeah, pretty good, pretty good stuff. And there is a decent amount of like homebrew content out there for 13th Age, as far as custom classes and races and stuff go. So but yeah, 2nd edition seems pretty good. There was definitely a bunch of things in there that I was like, oh, that's good, that's an improvement, that makes more sense, blah blah blah. One thing that I didn't really understand in the last video, but I understand now, is ritual casting. So wizards and clerics by default get ritual magic. Any other caster can just take it as a feat, I believe. and it lets you. It just says it's very simple. Wizards can cast their spells as rituals. So that does not explain anything. You got to go into the rulebook for an actual explanation of rituals. And so I was used to like rituals from 4th edition D&D, where they were kind of just a special classification of spell that pretty much anyone could take as part of like feat. Pretty much any class I think could take ritual casting as a feat, and then you'd start picking some ritual spells, and those were more of like the big utility spells, or not even big. I think I remember like sending being a ritual if you wanted to just telepathically send a message to someone, and I believe they kind of scaled based on like the skill check that you used with them. But you know, I among our group, I was the only one I think that ever picked rituals, and it was rare, and I don't remember if we ever even used them. Because you kind of have to go out of your way to pick them, and you'd get like 1 or 2, and they were kind of lame and blah. Yeah, blah blah blah. But 13th Age rituals, way more narrative, way more free form, and pretty much what you can do is you take any spell that you have, that you know, that you've learned, and you expend a usage of that spell as if you had cast it, but instead you cast it as a ritual. And you basically just tell the GM how you are going to, or sort of like what you want to accomplish with the ritual. Any sort of magical effect you can think of. And I think the book here has some examples. So, an example, Ritual 1. They acquire a fearsome bow, and they want to destroy the bow, so the wizard improvises a magic item destruction ritual using Acid Arrow, the perfect spell for disintegrating a demonic bow. So again, there's no spell. Okay, well, first of all, Acid Arrow does not say anything about it, as far as like destroying an item or anything like that. Like, it's very much just a combat spell against creatures. Like, it's very clear. It's all very typed out there, what it does in combat, how it's used, what it targets, blah blah blah. Nothing in there is about using it to destroy magic items or anything like that, right? The second example is that 2 PCs have been thrown into a gladiatorial pit, and they want their weapons and armor, which were taken from them. So the group's wizard uses a sleep ritual on the guards watching their gear, so that the rogue can sneak the PC's real weapons to them, while the ritual casting bard executes a glamour ritual to hide the switch. So those 2 spells being used are kind of what you would sort of expect, right? You would expect the sleep spell to put guards to sleep. But I think if we can find the sleep spell. Oh god, my cat took such a nasty shit. So bad. There it is, sleep. Okay. So, by default, in combat, this is... You have to roll 3d20 plus 45 to determine the max number of hit points of enemies you can target with the spell. You must target nearby enemies, blah, blah, blah. And then, you have to roll the attack versus their mental defense. And they fall unconscious with a hard save ending. It's all very clear and specific, because most of the time you're going to use sleep, like, in combat, or, like, very quickly, like, as an ambush kind of thing. But if you cast it as a ritual, it becomes a much more involved process. It takes minutes or hours, perhaps, for you to cast this thing, this big ritual. But the effect is greatly expanded. And so like acid arrow normally would not be able to destroy. You can't even use it to target an object or an item or anything. It's only a creature. But if you use it as part of a ritual, then, you know, it's really just up to your imagination and what the GM will allow. And I feel I'm trying to remember another game that used very similar rules to this. Maybe Dungeon World, I think. Yeah, I think it was Dungeon World. But really, it's just like you know, rarely I think the GM would say, no, that's impossible. I mean, unless it's just like ridiculously out of tune with the spell being used or something like that. Like you're trying to use sleep to, you know, kill the Demon King or something. Like it just, like, I mean, no, that doesn't make any sense. And again, a lot of 13th Age is kind of predicated on the idea of just being reasonable and not fuckwits on both sides of the table, you know? But, you know, as long as it's somewhat reasonable application of sort of the spell and its kind of overall concept, I mean, you could scale it as far as you want. It's just that the ritual is going to be immense, you know? Like, you're probably going to have to go on an adventure to get, like, the components or whatever, to cast this. And then you might have to sit there for, like, a week or a month, you know, kind of preparing this ritual for, like, the really big stuff. Like, if you want to use acid arrow to, like, destroy the sun or, or something. I don't know. I mean, again, there are limits, I'm sure, of what a GM will allow, and that's going to be on a case-by-case basis. But I really love that idea of just, this is your spell list. As written, this is all stuff used entirely in combat. But beyond that, out of combat, your imagination is the only limit. And I really liked it in Dungeon World, even though we didn't spend a lot of time playing Dungeon World. I really like that idea. Now, you know, the wizard does have utility spells, which are typically stuff used out of combat. Stuff like Disguise Self and Featherfall. And I don't know if you'd really get much ritual use out of these because they're kind of already just designed for out-of-combat use. And I don't know, like, I don't know what sort of ritual you would... Again, I guess limited by your imagination. But I don't know if you'd allow a ritual of just like, I want to use Firefall or Featherfall on all 5 of us so that we, you know, slow down. Because you're basically just replicating the level 7 effect of it. And that's not really what I understand to be in spirit of rituals. But at the same time, it's not like game breaking. If they did want to sit there for like an hour casting this ritual so that all 5 of them can Featherfall, go ahead. But the book does mention repeating the same effect. Performing a magic ritual once actually makes it less likely that the same caster can perform the same ritual for the same effect again, because the world builds resistance to being broken. That's how we play it anyway. So again, that is up to you and your table. But I would certainly agree with that, because I'm always in favor of just coming up with original ideas. And if you don't go with that and you allow Featherfall casting as a ritual for 5 targets, then they're just going to do that all the time, you know. So I'd probably allow that once, or something. But you do have to do a skill check to actually complete it, and they talk about how you want to kind of fail forward. Most rituals work, but failure may get you results you've not properly bargained for, such as side effects. So there is a skill check involved. And again, I don't think you're going to be using a level 1 spell to like blot out the sun or something or kill a demon king. But yeah, overall, I really like that idea. We're not going to be doing much of that in this place, I don't think. But yeah. Anyways. So, let us continue Tomb of the Serpent King. Let's get the guys kind of positioned here. This is our group. So we step forward. Okay. So I definitely don't think I handled this too well with the walls. But let's read what it says here for this room. Number 7. The False Temple. This room contains a giant statue of a hideous snake man god, resembling a cross between a toad, a heap of intestines, and a melted candle. Water leaking into the tomb has eroded the floor, revealing a secret passage under the statue to level 2 of the dungeon. So, yeah, I don't think you have to roll. I like, if I were playing normally, I don't think you'd roll. I think it would be very obvious. Like, originally, this was a secret passage, but the water has eroded it, and now it's pretty clear that you could just crawl under there. So we got to get down into the muck and the slime here. And we've got to go under. Oh, they're not letting me move past because of this secret wall. Whoops. Again, I don't want to reel too much here. But let me just look at the walls. So I have this as a... I don't know how the best way to handle this, as far as Foundry is concerned. In this case, it's a it's almost more like a door, I suppose. Well, again, like the GM, you know, would normally be controlling the whole scene. So once they, you know, see something or roll or, you know, find the actual secret door or passage, then the GM can just kind of convert it into a door or something. So, I don't think... Okay, I guess you do that. Now, okay, so now I've converted it to a door. And now we can open it and enter in. Oops. Okay, we're all following through the slimy passage. Okay, so this spot up here. This damp, narrow room lies directly below False Temple. It is an alcove-like passage that widens to become Statue Hall, the upper tomb. Okay, a long, wide corridor. 6 huge statues of heavily armed and armored snake men loom over the hall, glaring at the party. One of the statues is twisted slightly out of alignment with the wall. Alright, so, yeah, obviously that is... So this is a secret passage. So, again, yeah, I might be using Foundry in the future. So, like I said, I really want to learn this from a GM perspective. Like, they can just see through this wall. So I think I would have had to have set this to just block everything. So then... Okay, so they've... Yeah, so they've already seen through it, so the Fog of War is revealed. But yeah, I do believe that would block it. So you gotta make sure you set that stuff beforehand, otherwise players will just see right through it. And I guess probably it would be better... Yeah, it probably would be better than for secret doors, secret walls, to just set them as walls and not be fancy about it. You know, they have invisible walls, which just block movement. I think we call those windows. And yeah, actually the example they use is definitely of a window. I don't know why you wouldn't... I don't know. It's a window. But they have windows. Which kind of work better as windows. I guess you could do a secret door instead. But then they know it's a secret door. So, I don't know. Okay, he's gonna step into this room. This room was once a secret guard room for temple assassins. Now it is empty and dark. Furniture is rotted to fragments. On the wall are 2 hooked polearms that are still usable, along with a silver icon of a scowling snake man king, worth 5 gold pieces. Okay, well, the warrior will, of course, take this silver icon. Why wouldn't I? Silver icon of Snake Man King. Found in secret guard room. Okay. There you go. Not much else to observe there. So we continue on, and we enter into this interesting circular, not a circular. What shape is this? A hexagonal? I don't know. The tomb atrium. The hallway opens into a large chamber, octagonal chamber, also ringed with glaring snake man statues. Some carry weapons, others carry implements of torture or agriculture. The doors to rooms 12 to 16 are made of heavy stone but can be levered without much difficulty. Room 15 has an unlocked wooden door. Room 18 has a stone door, but it is much more ornately carved than the others. There was once a pit in the center of the room, but water trickling from the surface has filled it to the brim with dark, oily water that smells like licorice. The pool is 10 feet deep. Okay. Well, let's, so... Normally, there are 2 mummy claws inside of the pool that jump out to attack anyone who comes within 5 feet of the pit, which the warrior definitely has. Well, let's roll on the GM emulator, just to maybe see if we want to do something a little different with this room. So let's ask, is the room different than what is written? We roll a 1d100. Got an 86, which means no, it is not different as written. All right, pretty simple. So we're going to have 2 mummy claws jump out. And so they do have a section in the rulebook talking about ambushes and surprise and how they don't really like the idea of one side ambushes another and they get a whole round of combat first before the other side is just like, oh, what's going on? Basically, how they prefer to do it is either you just have like an opening shot from like one or more creatures that just like fire off an arrow or you know, jump on you or something like that, and then combat plays as normal afterwards. Or you just give initiative bonuses to the side that surprises the other. So you got like +5 or +10 to their initiative rolls. And then, you know, most likely they're going to go before the ambush side. Not guaranteed, but most likely. And then that kind of solves that as well. So they get to go first most of the time, but then, you know, player characters don't like lose out on a whole round of combat or something. Okay, so we've got mummy fragments, and these things are gonna leap out. And we can either do the opening shot, where they get to just both roll an attack against the fighter, and we call it a day, or we give them the initiative bonus. I think in this case, probably we give them the opening shot. Now, I probably should have given the fighter a chance to spot these things. And I imagine that's wisdom. Usually wisdom is like perception. So let's go with that. He's got an abysmal wisdom. And the DC we'll say is, well, it's actually, this is an opposed DC, so it would be based on their like stealth roll. And I haven't really looked too much into how the system handles stealth. Okay, let me see if they mention perception anywhere. A hard perception check. This is the only time in the whole rulebook they mention perception during one cantrip. That's crazy. Oh, mental defense. Oh, okay. No, I see. I wonder why they mentioned perception even once. Okay, only 3 mentions of the word stealth throughout this entire rulebook. Unless they use, like, sneak. Obviously, sneak attack. There's plenty of mentions of that. Sneaking around skill checks. Huh. It's kind of vague, really. I mean, I guess I could see a dexterity roll versus a target's mental defense. If that's what mental defense is meant to represent, your, like, perception. But if I'm searching for something, I'm not going to roll anything with mental defense. I'm probably going to roll wisdom. But I guess that's sort of the question. Is the roll... Is the impetus on the person sneaking or the person being snuck up on? And I know that it doesn't really matter too much. Okay, I mean, let me just... I know backgrounds obviously tie a lot in, but there has to be... You have to be able to tell me something basic like that. As a GM, I need to know, you know, what they're gonna roll if they're trying to sneak in. I feel like there's something wrong with this PDF. I don't think this search works as well as it should be. I'm not sure. Okay, well, I mean, okay, so how would I do it, I guess? Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd do it like I would do it in D&D. I would have the fighter roll a wisdom check. And it would probably be... I'd also probably roll a check for the mummy fragment. The mummy claw. Or fuck that, just make it easier and just set the DC at 15 and call it a day. I guess that's what I would do. I guess that's what I'm going to do. So let's roll a wisdom. We'll give him a +2 due to some vague background that doesn't exist. And we'll just do that. Okay, rolled an 18. So he sees the hands kind of crawling up the side of the pool, and he's actually going to move back, and sort of avoid them popping out and grabbing at his throat. So we're gonna go with that, and that kind of nullifies their opening ambush because he's seen them coming. So, we're going to do this, and we're going to throw them into a combat encounter. And, begin. Make sure we roll. Okay, so the rogue is going to go first. Now, I don't think we have anyone engaged with anyone at the moment. Not quite. So I could attack. I could go in and engage myself, but that's not really how the rogue operates. So what I think we're going to do instead is shadow walk. So we're going to just roll shadow walk. Let me get my chat log out again. Okay, rolled a magnificent 7. Yep. No getting around that. You rolled a 7. They do not have that low of mental defense. Theirs is 10. So he was a miss. No effect. I still have my standard action this turn. So instead, I guess we'll just do... No, not shortcut. Flying Blade. Although, Flying Blade is... I want to say strictly worse if it's an unengaged target. So let's just do a ranged attack. We will not be fancy here. So let's just target this hand with a ranged attack. 13 versus AC. That is going to be a miss, unfortunately. So it does take 1 damage. Whoa! I have everybody selected. Everybody just took 1 damage. Let's heal everybody for one. Yeah, I mean, this is not an ideal way to do a solo game because it keeps popping off the fog of war. I think there's some modules you can install to make this better. And I thought I installed one, but it doesn't really work. Or I have no idea how it works. So, yeah. Oh well. Okay, so I did 1 damage, and I believe that gives me momentum. No, I have to hit with a target. I have to hit with an attack. Yeah, I have to hit. Oh well. Alright, that's that. Okay, the 2 decrepit skeletons are gone. So they're obviously going to both move in. And they're both going to try this grab attack. Which is a pretty shitty attack, all things considered. But if they get a naturally even hit, they also grab him around his throat. So. Whoa. Okay, there you have it. Rolled a 19. So that's 3 damage to the fighter. That is not a naturally even hit, though. 19. So no grab, just kind of slashed at him. And then the other one rolled a 7. So that is nothing. Okay, and that was their turn. Then the wizard, of course, will just be using magic missile on this one. Nothing fancy there. 6 damage automatically. And of course, I had him targeted. Oops. Okay, and that actually killed them. They were very weak. Very weak. Good job, wizard. Now the fighter's good to go. He's already engaged, so he's right where he wants to be. And he is just going to swing. 17 is a hit for 11 damage. Dead. Yeah, those were pretty weenie things. And the original intent was certainly, I think, for them to be a little bit more narrative and kind of hard to attack. Because they're just hands, you know, they're just animated hands. So they probably should have had a lot higher AC. But, I mean, I would have done something maybe had they actually grabbed onto his throat. But yeah, I mean, again, let me be clear that this adventure, Tomb of the Serpent King, not really designed, I think, for the combat of 13th Age. It's definitely more in the vein of, like, OSR. Yeah, I mean, that encounter probably could be punched up a little bit. I couldn't have had... Nah, probably all of their stats should have just been better. But, yeah, if you look at the stats here, 2 hit dice, you know, D4 claw attack, D6 strangle. I don't know. The lesson is apparently that some monsters also inflict diseases. I don't know if I saw that mentioned anywhere. They call them mummy fragments down here. And it doesn't really mention disease here either. Although it mentions stats as crawling claws. So maybe there was something there. But anyways. Okay, so we have then this pool of water. And so who's got a high wisdom? The cleric, of course. But so I'm thinking of like perception and trying to like search and stuff. But a big background that could lend you like +4, +5 to searching for stuff or trying to see stuff or, you know, whatever. Like if you have a detective background or something like that. I mean, that certainly can offset a worse wisdom score if the cleric doesn't have a background related to searching really for hidden things. Because most, you know, most jobs, most careers don't really involve you searching in dark spots for hidden things and trying to ascertain, you know, details or whatever. So we'll have the cleric step up though, and try and peer into the pool to see if he notices anything down there that could be of value. So he's just gonna give a straight wisdom roll. All right, he rolled a 15, which is our magic number, I suppose. So he could see down there. How would I describe this? Definitely you'd see like a heavy gold chain down there. Maybe another like silver ring down there. You see what looks to be like a head that almost seems like it's animate, like it's almost shifting or moving under the water. And then a magic utility item of the GM's choice or a randomly rolled magic item or 2d10 gold pieces in jewelry. Should we give a fun magic utility item? The 13th Age book does have somewhere a bunch of examples of some fun magic items. Belts, books, cloaks, boots. But utility. It's got to be something utility based. And I think a lot of these are very combat focused, as is much of the entire system. Hold on. There was, this Imager post here about a bunch of magic item ideas for like D&D and stuff. And these were all kind of interesting from what I was looking. You know, just nothing crazy overpowered or anything like that. But just some fun stuff. So what could we throw down there? There you go. There's this comb. While wearing this comb, your hair and beard, if any, immediately grow up to 5 feet long. While attuned, you can manipulate your hair as if it were an extra pair of hands. Your hair has a reach of 5 feet and can perform basic tasks. It can even wield light weapons, however, it cannot perform complex gestures required for spellcasting. As a bonus action, you may attack with both hair arms with disadvantage. If your hair is ever cut or severed, the comb loses all power. So obviously, designed for 5th edition D&D. If I wanted to throw this into 13th Age, I'd have to change a few things. But honestly, I'd probably take out any sort of mention of wielding weapons or attacking with it. And the rest of it is just good enough, you know? It's just makes your hair grow really long and your hair can move and maybe pick up some stuff. That's good enough for just a weird little magic item. So that's what we see down there at the bottom of the pool. Now, obviously, that heavy gold chain is pretty good, and the ring, and a comb. So drinking the water or rubbing it into open wounds inflicts mummy rot, but touching it does not. Now, the party would not really know that unless they sat here and maybe tried to analyze the water in some way. And I think probably there would be some foolhardy characters that would just jump in and dive to the bottom and grab this stuff. I certainly think that's possible. And honestly, in this case, the rogue is uninjured, so I can't rule that he has any open wounds. So, assuming he just went down there and grabbed it, it probably would be fine. I don't know. I mean, like you get water in like your nostrils or something. That's probably not good. I don't know. I mean, I'd probably, if you dive in there even without open wounds, maybe just make it like an easy save. Just to see. Or maybe, I don't know, what would be the best way to do that? Like a D20. Can you add? If I just click this, okay, that just rolls the D20. Because it's almost never, I guess, that you add anything to your saves. That's just what it is. But if I wanted to do something with poison, or something where Constitution could help. I don't know, I feel like we saw poison. We saw traps mentioned at some point. Yeah, I mean, in that case, it's just like an attack roll versus their physical defense. Because it's like the trap is doing an attack to you, but in this case, it's just a disease. I don't know. I feel like most diseases are going to come from monsters, and we're not going to really get a mention of how you adjudicate it. I don't know. I guess I probably wouldn't do a roll. I guess I wouldn't do a roll, but then, like, if you did have open wounds, you would just get mummy rot. Like, there wouldn't be a roll. You'd get it. But then I suppose to, like... I don't know. When does physical defense and constitution and stuff, like, come into effect when it comes to poisons or diseases or something? Yeah, I don't know, actually. It's a good question. Um... This person suggests diseases and poisons and stuff are more narrative devices. And I think I could potentially agree with that. And really, diseases don't pop up too much in any game I've ever run or played in. So I guess I'd have to just figure out more of what mummy rot is and, you know, what it does. Yeah, I think diseases are more of a long-term kind of narrative thing. And I certainly would have some roles in there once they've caught mummy rot. You know, some sort of just like hard save, and maybe I'd let them add their constitution modifier to it, and that would be like once a day, and either they pass it, you know, and they start to improve, or they fail it and they continue to get worse. And yeah, again, like it's sort of a narrative thing, this kind of slow decline that the players as a group may have to like actually do something about if it gets bad enough. Something like that. And so yeah, I would say in this case it's pretty clear. Like if you drink the water, you just get mummy rot. That's it. If you jumped in or otherwise rubbed it on open wounds, you get mummy rot. And that wouldn't be immediately obvious. You know, the GM should just write that down, and then the next day or 2 days, you know, you kind of make some mention of some early symptoms. But in this case, the rogue could just jump down and get the stuff. But let's, well, they're kind of here for treasure. Is there any other way? Well, Mage Hand is always a way. Cantrip, Mage Hand. Small telekinetic effect that lasts a round at most. At best, it's about half as strong as the wizard's own strongest hand. Small telekinetic effect that lasts a round at most. I don't know what they imagine to be their round length. Typically, it's 6 or 10 seconds. I mean, who knows where that information, if at all, is even mentioned. Yeah, who knows? So it's kind of, I guess, up to me. 6 seconds is the traditional amount. Shadow the Demon Lord uses 10 seconds. Usually it's not that big of a difference. But I guess in this case, you'd say 6 to 10 seconds. Assuming that I could cast Cantrip down in the water. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not creating a physical hand. I guess it's not like you know, an ethereal hand that I move around, which is, I think, what the D&D version is. Instead, this is literally just telekinesis. So I'm just moving the object down in the water for 6 to 10 seconds. The speed at which you can move things, I guess it's about half as strong as the wizard's hand. Even at half speed, the average person probably could lift something out of the water pretty quick. So I don't think there's really much issue here, actually. Obviously, the adventure was not written with Mage Hand in mind, but that would be the best way. So we'll grab the heavy gold chain, the silver ring, and the boots, I think is what we were going. No, the comb. Yes. And we'll give it all to the wizard. Why not? Oops. Heavy gold chain. Good. Found in pool. And silver ring. Found in pool. Very exciting stuff, I know. And finally, the home. Found in pool. So, I don't know. He probably wouldn't immediately put it in his, like, hair. That's why would he? Oh, there's that. I guess you'd probably say it's magical, maybe. The silver ring is a ring of eyesight. While wearing it, one of the user's eyes pops out and becomes hard as glass. The eye still sees normally. Huh. Well. I don't think I want anything to do with any of that. Okay, but we have a bunch of rooms here. So let's go in order. We're going up to number 12 here, and we're just going to open the door. They're made of heavy stone, but can be levered without much difficulty. Okay, so we pop this bad boy open. Shabbat! Tomb of Zizor the Green. The passage into this tomb contains a pressure plate that triggers a lightning bolt spell aimed straight down the hallway. It deals 4d6 damage, save for half, and only activates once. Okay, well, I definitely just stepped in. We'll be nice and give the fighter a perception to see if he noticed the trap, but chances are no. He's got to roll a 16 or higher here. No, he definitely failed. So he steps on the trap, and so this is... Do they do save for half on traps? I thought it was more just like an attack. I think that's how they do it. The trap is just an attack against you if it misses. And you could target, yeah, you'd probably target physical defense. So this would be like a +5, I think is what we're going to do. 1d20 plus 5. 25. Yeah, I'd rolled a 20. Okay, well then that's just 4d6 damage. I don't know if that scales properly. We got to go back to that trap section. Okay, so the poison arrow trap does 2d6, 5 ongoing poison, single use. This ring of fire trap targets a bunch of creatures, 1d10, half on a miss, and resets. And then there's this big, hard, swinging pendulum blade that if you get hit, 3d6 damage. Multiple use. I feel like probably let's do 2d8. Let's go with that instead. That's the damage we'll take. 8 damage to our fighter. Dropping him down to 17. Okay, he's not quite staggered, but he's very close. He's very close. There could be some healing going on. Now, technically, we didn't quick rest after that battle, but I think you have to... I think the spirit of it is quick resting, like, right after the battle's over. I don't think you can go another, like, hour, and you still haven't had another battle, and you're like, okay, let's quick rest now. But at the same time, I don't know if that's true or not. Could be true. God, finding anything in this book. Oh, this is not good. It's not good. What am I doing? Why is this? What am I doing? I don't want the character creation rules. And then it's just gonna go into like races, classes. Like, no, I guess I'm looking. We spend too much time looking stuff up. That's really the problem. I should know these games in and out before I do anything. Okay, quick rest. It says you can always get a quick rest between battles. It doesn't really say. It really doesn't say. It's not so much a true rest stop as it is clearing your head and catching your balance after a fight. After each battle, you can use a quick rest to get ready for the next battle. I would say that the idea is that you have to use the quick rest right after the battle's over. Before you even, like, loot bodies or something like that. Unless you're thrown immediately into some other catastrophic thing where you don't get a quick rest, it happens right after the battle is over. You're clearing your head. So no, we can't just do a quick rest right now. So if I want the fighter to get healed, that is kind of funny because I can't quick rest, and I also can't rally to just use a recovery. That's only during combat. So if I want to heal, I pretty much just have to rely on the cleric to heal me, I think. It seems kind of weird, and I don't know if that's exactly the case. Because... well, again, they kind of discourage traps, you know, so I guess they kind of discourage damage outside of battles. So I suppose it is what it is. It is what it is. So I have 2 uses of heal. I guess I could throw one out right now because the fighter kind of needs it. So let's roll a heal. And so that means that he can just use a recovery, and he gets +2 to it. So we do this, we add +2, and we roll normal. He healed 13 from that one. Big boy. Okay. That is that. Okay, so painful lightning bolt trap aside. The lightning bolt fired out of an electrum disc. And it's embedded in the wall. So I guess the thief will come over and pry it out. The thief will step in and pry it out. It's gonna happen. I don't think I would do a check for that. You just spend a minute or so and get your electrum disc from lightning bolt trap. Okay, that's all there is to say about that. Okay. Fighter will go through the next door. Ah! Number 13, Tomb of Sparamuntar. The passage to this tomb has collapsed. The blocks of the ceiling caved in. The PCs will hear Sparamuntar, a snake man skeleton, lurching and thumping on the other side of the blocked passage. Okay, let's back up, because we definitely would have heard that. He is not very subtle and will try and strike the moment he can see the head of a living creature. Okay. So we just hear sort of a lurching, thumping sound from the other side of this doorway. So, I mean, well, okay, let's roll on the fate table. We like that. Is this room different from what is written? And again, just a 50-50. Okay, it is different. Is the creature different? No. Okay, is the features of the room different? Okay. Is the doorway trapped or otherwise changed in some way? No. Okay, all of these are no. I'm running out of things that could be different with this small room. So I guess we just keep rolling. Okay, we'll circle back around. Are the creatures different? Yes, okay. I knew we'd get something eventually. Okay, so the creature is different. It is not what is written there, a snake man skeleton with a great axe. What is it? I don't know. I don't want to decide yet. We'll figure that out in a minute. But let's say that we still hear kind of lurching and thumping sounds. Now, I would say, let me just look. Let's just look at Hold Portal. You cast this spell on a door. For 10 minutes, adventurer tier creatures can't get through the door. That's it. That's all there is to say about it. I thought there might be more to it than that. Yeah, okay, here it says in the book. You cast a spell on a door. For 10 minutes, adventurer tier creatures can't get through the door, not even by chopping it into splinters with an axe or blasting it with a fireball. So, it's... Okay, here's the side note. We suppose you could try casting the spell on a window or a porthole, but part of the spell involves keeping a solid door intact that might otherwise be blown to smithereens. So windows and portholes don't work so well. And if the opposition is powerful enough to teleport around the door or smash through the walls or floors, at least the portal held. Okay, so it says... Part of the spell involves keeping a solid door intact that might otherwise be blown to smithereens. But the text says the adventurer tier creatures can't get through it, not even by chopping it into splinters. I guess I'm just trying to understand exactly what the spell does. It's specifically on a door, but if the door is destroyed into splinters, it's still in effect. So it's not really an effect on the door, it's more on the doorway. But then it says to not use it on windows or portholes, because part of the effect is based on keeping the solid door intact. But it's not. I mean, for adventurer tier creatures, it doesn't mention anything about them being prevented or being hampered from splintering it with an axe. It just says that they still can't pass through the doorway even if they do it. It's a little fuzzy, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so what am I thinking, I guess? The thought was that I could hold the doorway, and it would prevent adventurer tier creatures from going through the doorway. But I could still just, like, snipe it through this portal. Because it only mentions creatures being prevented from passing through. It doesn't say anything about projectiles or, you know, energy from passing through. Just creatures. I guess, what sort of doorway is this? A 13. I think, yeah, it's a heavy stone. So, using it on the door, we wouldn't be able to, like, break a hole in it, you know, and then keep it secured so that we could snipe him. And we can't break a hole in it anyways. It's a big stone slab. We either have to open it or not. And we hear something thumping around in there. I could certainly see the argument of not going in here, but that's also kind of boring, and we're here to do some combat. So I don't know if I really have anything that's useful in this case, as far as abilities or spells. Unfortunately. I think we have to assume that it's going to be some sort of skeletal creature or zombie creature. Some sort of undead is the most likely. It's not going to be some living thing trapped behind this stone slab in there for hundreds of years. So most of the sort of traps that I could conceive of wouldn't really do much. I could see the argument of setting a tripwire, though. Set a tripwire, like, across here. I don't know if you can actually see my mouse cursor. You can, okay. So set a tripwire, like, across here. You could maybe even tie it to, like, these two statues or something like that, just so you have a wire. The fighter opens the slab, opens the door, jumps over the tripwire, and then leads this thing into the tripwire, and it stumbles, and then we shove it into the pool of water. That would be a thought. Is it a good thought? I don't know. But it's something creative. So, I think we're going to go with the idea that skeletons and zombies are really dumb and will not notice much of anything. So we can probably just use, like, a rope So we'll have the rogue just jimmy up a rope tripwire here. And let's position the other guys around here. Go like that. Okay. Something like that. And now, if I had players tell me this, what would I say? I guess it's part of it is just like the nature of these stone doors. I don't think they're like massive slabs, and they are doors. Yeah, they are doors, so I think they're on hinges of some kind. So they probably just open once we pop them open. So the fighter is just gonna pop it open. You know, give it a good shove. Probably push back any creature that's standing on the other side. And then he's gonna, you know, hop over the tripwire, lickety-split. And then probably kind of stay somewhat in view. Like, go like here. So that he doesn't, the creature doesn't trip into him. And then we can kind of see where we go from there. Okay. So he pops it open. And now we have to decide what exactly is this creature that we see. And let's go to the compendium of creatures. Let's look for zombie, maybe? What do we got? A big zombie? That's probably a little high. I don't think we want to go much higher than 2 or 3. Maybe 3 at probably at the highest. It's just going to get too ridiculous otherwise. 9th level mooks. 9th level. 2nd level. Okay, I mean, you could just throw one of these. Um, 60 health is a decent amount. But let's bump it up. We'll make it a level 3. Okay. So we have a level 3 zombie. Right there. Or so. It's not engaged. It did get shoved back a little bit, I suppose. And then I jump over that. I don't know if you do any sort of roll to see if they trip on their own tripwire. That seems quite lame for, like, a cool fighter. I mean, comical, sure, but, yeah, you know. Okay, and now I think we need to initiate combat here. So let's add, oh, we didn't finish. Yeah, end combat. Start combat. Roll. Somehow the zombie went first. Okay, great. Now, he's going to move in, and he hits the tripwire about here. And yeah, this is where I kind of question things. Because if I'm running a system, you know, that's much more loose, much more narrative, Maze Rats, or Dungeon World, or even Shadows of Adventure, I would say, I can think of a lot of pretty easy ways to handle this sort of thing. But with this system, everything's pretty clearly defined. And yet there's a lot of stuff that's missing because it's meant to be loose. But, for example, in 13th Age, there's no prone condition. And I have here this reference sheet, and it shows you all the status conditions that exist. Confused, constrained, dazed, fear, hampered, helpless, stuck, stunned, vulnerable, weakened. Now, again, no prone. Prone is such a fucking classic condition that just makes a lot of sense. I mean, things fall prone. It happens all the time. You play any fantasy D20 game, like, things fall prone. It seems so common. I mean, here's a thread about things that you'd like to be changed with 13th Age, and someone said, in my experience, players often want to knock enemies over, so it would be good if there were rules for that. Personally, I make prone creatures vulnerable to melee attacks. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most crazy things to me, is that there's no mention of prone. Like, anywhere. Anywhere in the whole book, not once. Other than, the other meaning of prone. That's it. There's no other mention of prone. And I just want to ask, like, the designers, like, in your games, if I lay down on the floor, what do you do? Like, what are the rules in your game, in your system, when you run it? Say I just crawled around on my belly all day. You wouldn't have any mechanical effect whatsoever? I mean, it's nuts. So far, I think that's the most insane thing that I have read. Or not read, really. And the funny thing is, it's like it seems like a very easy fix. And I can see more discussion here about prone. Things that people want to see from the second edition. A few more conditions like prone. My PCs always want to knock enemies on their asses. I think this is probably the same person, really. Someone replied, when I'm designing monsters, I emulate prone by losing their next move action. And another person said, I do the same, plus melee attacks against prone targets get a +4 bonus. Someone else said, I'm starting to think that my homebrew prone rule is too complicated. It includes an AC bonus against ranged attacks, and disengaging from a prone enemy is an easy save. So there you have 4 different people discussing 13th Age that all apparently have their own homebrew rules for prone enemies. Just fucking make a rule for prone enemies. And I'm pretty sure if I go to the second edition book, there is not going to be a mention of prone. Just all the same mentions from the first edition. It's just nuts. I just don't get it. But like I said, it's an easy fix, and I probably agree with that. Because that's how D&D is. And if we go If we go to 5th edition D&D, prone, it's your only movement option is to crawl unless you stand up and thereby end the condition. You have disadvantage on attack rolls. An attack roll against the creature has advantage if you're within 5 feet, otherwise disadvantage. So basically, movement is hindered unless you use your move action to stand. Melee gets a bonus, ranged gets a penalty. That's what prone is. That's what prone has been for, decades. It's pretty simple. So yeah, I would probably say a +4 for melee, -4 for ranged. And your movement is halved. But we don't have specific movement rates in 13th Age. So I think that's probably why they don't want to say what prone is exactly, because then they'd have to kind of drill down some sort of hampered movement, and none of their conditions do that. The only thing they say is you can't be moved. If you're stuck, you can't move. Nothing else affects your movement. So getting into crawling and what crawling would allow you to get to, that's really kind of up to the GM. So it's tough to codify in any meaningful way for a condition. I could see that argument of why they don't want to get into prone, but still, in my experience, players never crawl. It never happens, ever. You either stay on the ground and you try and attack from there, or you just stand up. Those are really the only two things that happen. I don't know if I've ever seen a situation where someone crawls. So let's just do it. Let's just do that. I don't know if I need to do any roll. I guess I could give him a hard save. Maybe he'll, stumble a little bit, but maintain his footing. No, he failed. Okay, so he's here. He's tripped forward 5 feet. And he is now prone. And obviously, we don't have any sort of condition for... I don't even know where condition... Oh, there you go. So we're not going to have a new condition for prone. Although that one looks pretty close to it. But we all know that he's prone. And I guess, yeah, you'd probably also say that the creature has -4 penalty on all his attack rolls. Melee or ranged, really. Although I don't know if I'd make the argument for spells. But I guess D&D does. Because I suppose if you're shooting out a ray attack, that's pretty similar to shooting a crossbow. Anyways, we're just gonna make that rule. I don't know how much it's often gonna come up. Like if I actually DM 13th Age for a group of people, how often prone is gonna come up. But it's going to come up eventually. Trust me. So we're gonna say that this zombie can still attack now the warrior because he's right next to him, but he does get -4 on the roll. Jesus. Did not matter. He rolled a 19, and that would be +4 for a 23. That is definitely a hit. And ooh, boy. So 8 damage plus 5 damage because he rolled 16 plus, and he himself takes 5 damage. Ouch! Ouchie wawa on the fighter. Okay, the wizard you already know. This isn't a grand mystery here. Fucking magic missile. All day, every day. Although, I think you could make the argument for acid arrow. This guy is definitely a bigger beefcake. 75 hit points. Wait, I did 5 damage to him. Wait a minute. Shit. I don't think I did 5 damage. I think I did too much to this guy. He was at 30 or 31? No, that's correct. He's at 30. He's down to 17. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I could make the argument for acid arrow, so let's do it. No good. 11 versus PD is not good enough. So that is going to be 5 ongoing acid damage. Can I just drag that onto his shit? Ooh, I like that. That's nice. And I regain the spell during my next quick rest. Okay. It is what it is. Next, the fighter. So remember, if we miss, we do want to use comeback strike. Outside of that, not much else we can say, so let's just do a melee attack. Okay, we definitely hit. 8 damage. And we really have no flexible attack because we didn't miss. We can't do anything else. Pretty simple turns. So you can rally as a standard action on your turn. Is basically your whole turn. And you can spend a recovery during combat without requiring a healer. It's a concept taken straight from 4th edition with its second wind that everyone could do. And I have seen, I think the fighter had a talent or a feat or something where they could rally as a quick action instead. And you can rally more than once. I think you can rally twice, but the second one you have to roll a normal save in order to do. It wasn't really clear if you could do it more than once. Okay, the rogue, of course, is going to move in. And he's going to be using evasive strike. So that he can pop free right away. And we're just going to do that. Okay, 14 versus AC is a miss. 1 whole damage. And we only get sneak attack when we hit. So nothing there. We get 1 damage. And we pop free. We're out of there. Yeah, not much to say. Still don't get momentum. Okay, and the cleric. Now, the cleric is definitely going to use heal as a quick action on the fighter. So he's just going to heal with +2. Boom. 10 health back. Not too shabby. And then for our standard action, of course, Javelin of Faith. Although you could make the argument of using Bless instead. Yeah, this fight's not going to be over in the next round. So let's use Bless. We're going to cast it for broad effect. So +1 attack bonus. And I wish we got a nice little effect thing that we could pull over. But we can just make a new effect. Bless. Broad. And to hit bonus of 1. And the duration is end of battle. Okay, and there you go. And then we can just copy that. No, no, can't copy. Can't copy effects over like that. Doesn't that seem kind of lame? I feel like you should be able to. That's quite lame. I wonder why you can't copy that over. That would be so easy. Why could I copy it from the fucking chat log, but I can't copy it from one character to another? Damn. Unless... No? I mean, it's a pretty quick one to do, but it's annoying. Okay, and we'll give it to the rogue as well. Yeah, I don't know what that what the issue is there. It definitely seems like something you should be able to copy over. But there you go. All done. That's Cleric's turn. End of round. Escalation die of 1. The zombie is going to just relentlessly attack the fighter now. Simple, simple. Oh, he's gonna stand. Oh, and I wasn't applying the +4, was I? Would the rogue have hit? Yeah, he definitely would have. Okay, I forgot my own rule. Oh well, we'll just move on with our lives. 10. He rolled a 2. Pretty shitty. He is not hitting anything. That's his turn. Yeah, magic missile, of course. 6 force damage, easy. Nothing complicated there. The fighter is going to be using his melee attack. Got an 18. That is going to be a hit for only 4 damage. He rolled a 1. 4 damage. I don't think there's anything I'm getting there. So that's that. The rogue, of course, gonna move in again and just keep using evasive strike. Not much reason not to. There you go. Hit. 11 damage. Seriously? 11 damage? Because he has a D8 plus 4. Yeah, dude. D8 on a rogue is just like... Ugh. It's like so surprising. You don't expect to see it. But on the flip side, he only rolled 1 for his sneak attack. Nothing too exciting there. He does get momentum and he pops free. All good. And then the cleric. So now the cleric can let loose the javelin of faith. 19 versus PD. No problem. That is damage. We have staggered the beast. The monstrosity. Yeah, so having only one enemy in this sort of game, much like 4th edition, and probably 5th edition, and most fantasy D20 games, having just one enemy is not really fair due to the action economy. So usually you want to have your big boss either have a lot of extra actions or, you know, extra turns or something like that, or have a lot of other enemies, you know, minions and stuff involved in the battle. But we're just beating the shit out of the zombies, so that's that. He is going to attack. Another 19. Okay. 8 damage. Plus 4 damage. I'm staggered. And 4 damage to the zombie. Who's at 27? We can do this. We can survive. We can persevere. Magic missile. 7 damage. Oof. Pretty good. I think we got this one. Alright, and the fighter, melee attack. 18 is a hit, 6 damage. Fighter's doing just fine. Because now, you know, he rolled an 11, but now he gets 3 plus 1. Very likely to hit. He actually has like a 55% chance to hit, I think. Which is not too bad. And then as the escalation die goes up, 60%, 65%, 70%. It's pretty good. Okay, so that was that. The rogue, of course, using his usual shenanigans. He probably could do something better. And I would say, I don't know who made this pre-gen, but picking Deadly Thrust with a negative strength mod just does not seem right. I mean, we're just gonna roll it. There you go. I missed. I did 1 damage because it added a -1. That wouldn't have made the difference, but still, it just, there's no point. There's no point with a negative strength modifier. Why did you pick this? Well, you did a damage. That's all. But now we're engaged with it. Okay, the cleric. Be shooting off another javelin of faith. 12 versus PD is a miss. So that's just 1 damage. 3rd round. He's gonna keep going. He's almost got this fighter. He's not gonna give up. A 19 is a hit, I believe. Right on the dot. So it's just 8 damage. The fighter is nearly at death's door, but we think that we can handle this. We know that we can handle this. Magic missile. 5 damage. Okay, and the fighter, beaten up as he is, he could spend his turn rallying, but he wants zombie blood. Boom, dead. Got him. Okay. So with that, we quick rest. Yep. So he healed. He used 1 recovery. And that got him above stagger. That got him above 50%. So he does not have to spend any more recoveries, but you can spend as many as you want. So we are going to spend another one. To get back up to 27. That's good. And then, yeah, everyone wants a quick rest. Even though I don't think... Oh yeah, I always forget about Cruel. Deal ongoing. Okay. And you, quick rest. Get back, heal. I thought there was something else that I was gonna note. Oh, acid arrow should get back. Alright, so it's not gonna give it to me automatically because it doesn't know that I missed, but we can restore acid arrow. Good. Okay. Well, that was another fight. Sure was. But combat is over. So blessing fades away. All good. Go up to the next door. Crack it open. Number 14, the Tomb of Fran Binzar. This room is more primitive than the others. It contains 1 stone coffin with the badly mummified remains of Fran Binzar, last ruler of the fortress. The mummification did not go well, He counts as a black pudding and will lurch to attack anyone who opens the coffin. Well, there were the contents of the last room. Oh no, the contents of the zombie funeral trinkets. We'll say those are gone as well. It doesn't really matter. So, yeah, so here's another thing, I guess. Of times that you may want to have an enemy. Something that wants to kill the player characters. But you may not want to actually go into combat and use initiative and the escalation die and combat rules. I mean, if the players are moving to engage the creature and want to just beat the shit out of it, then yes. I mean, yes, use combat rules. But it mentions here some options that you could do, that you could use to deal with this black pudding that's just lurching around the environment towards you. You can circle around the pit, the pool of water there, and kind of kite it. You could close a stone door on it. You could just lure it somewhere and trap it, or you could lure it upstairs and hit it with that hammer trap. You know, you could do things like that, or any other things that you can think of to your advantage. And I think that if you show the monster, it appears, and then you immediately say, roll initiative. Players are going to think, okay, we're in combat. The best thing to do is to try and kill this thing. By running up to it and smacking it. And they may do that regardless. But you may want to just hold off for a moment of saying roll initiative and just see how your players react to this creature organically without just pushing them into a combat encounter. That being said, I do have the stats for this thing. I made him an ochre jelly, and I think I leveled him down, I believe. So it's a large 3rd level ooze. It's another kind of big single creature fight. And again, I have to reiterate, this adventure not designed for the way the 13th Age is designed. 13th Age is not an OSR game at all. So I think let's just let's skip that. We won't open that coffin, and we'll go to the next room. Oh, which is a tunnel. So this is not one of the rooms at all. This is stairs. The ornate door. This hallway is protected by a very ornate door carved with images of snakes raining from the sky. Stairs descend downwards into darkness. A faint cold wind blows up the stairs. The 3rd stair from the top is slightly loose and has left very faint scratches on the walls. If any weight is put on it, the stairs tip to become a smooth stone ramp. Okay, so again, we would be kind of here, and the fighter, as always, being the first one down. And this is where the fighter is a terrible sort of scout, just dog shit wisdom and perception. But again, it would just be a wisdom check, a perception check, with a DC of 15. I mean, it seems like kind of the baseline mechanic here that I'd go for. So I'll give him a +2 for his vague background that he might have. And he did roll an 18. So he sees that the third step down has left some very faint scratches on the walls, and his kind of background knowledge tells his character that it might be trapped if any weight is put on it. But I would say in that case, pretty simple to just step over it. In practice, though, I don't know if you've ever taken stairs 2 steps down at a time. Going downstairs. It's terrifying. I remember one time in grade school. Yeah, I remember this one time very specifically in grade school. It's funny that I remember it. We were... I don't remember the specifics of what we were doing, but our class was taken over to, like... I went to a Lutheran school, so we, the school had its own, like, chapel. So I think we were taken up into, like... I want to say, like, the belfry or something like that. I don't even remember what was up there now. This was decades ago, but we were taken up into an area that normally we never got to go to, and we were given some sort of like tour up there. I remember that, and I remember it being very kind of like a solemn thing. Like it was meant to, we were told to be very respectful up there and behave and all that kind of stuff. And I was not very good at behaving ever. And I remember when we came back down, for whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to take these steps, 2 steps at a time. So I'm going to skip a step going down. And I don't know, I want to say I wasn't even trying to be like silly or something. I don't remember why I decided to do it, but I did it. And I tripped like 3 times going down this flight of steps. Until eventually, like, I was just like knocking over other people, getting basically our entire class into trouble, because I was just taking steps 2 at a time. So that's what I remember of that. But I was also an uncoordinated kid. I'm sure these capable adventurers could take they could skip 1 stair step without much issue. Okay, so we're going in here, and we're in here, and we're all in there. We skipped the steps, and here we are. Okay. And we are in number 19. This is a large, arena-like room completely covered in shields from tribes conquered by the Snake Men. Some of the shields are rotted through, but at least 5 are still in usable condition. If laboriously scraped and disassembled, fragments of silver wire and gold leaf in the shields are worth 2 gold pieces total. In the very center of the room stands the stone Cobra Guardian. It attacks on sight. It cannot fit up the stairs. Okay, so we have the stone Cobra Guardian. It's a stone cobra-headed knight clad in carved armor, wielding a huge dented sword in one hand. So this is a statue of a cobra-headed knight in armor. So that, boom, there he is. Very, so he's large. And very specifically, like, you can tell that he could not fit up this narrow stairway. But he is imposing as shit. No doubt. And so, they mention in here that stats as an ogre. So that was my baseline. I started with an ogre. And then I think I down leveled him to level 3 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what I did. But needless to say, he's got a pretty chonky AC at 19, 90 hit points. It says club, but we'll change that to a sword. 18 damage on that sword. That is not friendly. And as a nastier special, you wouldn't have to use this for 13th Age. These nastier specials are if you want to be nastier. But this reduces weapon damage he takes by 1d8. I think that would be catastrophic for this group. Like, you'd have to find some sort of alternative if you wanted to deal with this thing. But yeah, 18 damage. If that connects, we are effed in the B. That's probably a little bit too high. And I believe that 13th Age does have sort of a general guideline for damage. Yeah, baseline stats. So let's say that we want this to be a large or double strength monster. And if we set it at level 3, it actually should have +8 to attack and do 21 damage. Okay. And then have 90 hit points and a 19 AC. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of where it's at, but that's a tough fight. That's a very tough fight. So, we want to do level 2. +7, 14 damage. Let's change that. It's still a lot. Still a lot. And then drop his hit points down to 72. I don't know if they'll let me... Okay, they do. Good. And his AC should be 18, not 19. We'll go with that. I probably could have done all that just by doing that, actually. There you go. That's a lot easier. Alright, let me delete him. We'll get the new and improved version here. Okay. Good. Yeah, those stats are fine. It's going to be tough enough. Okay. So let's... In this case, this thing is actively hostile. It can quickly close the ground on them and attack. So this would be just kind of an initiative scenario, I would say. Because they might want to flee, but it might get to hit them before they have the chance to flee. So we want to find out initiatives. Throw them in there. Roll them bones. Begin. Okay, it's right in the middle at a 15. The wizard gets to go first. We do have Acid Arrow. I think there's arguments that Acid Arrow would do little, and there's probably an argument that Acid Arrow would do normal damage. Acid eats through stone sometimes. In the Alien films, I think. Are there any creative solutions here? I don't know. Maybe with a ritual, but not really. We don't have that many great choices. So I think just pop off the Acid Arrow, let it happen. But, this is sort of the interesting thing with 13th Age combat, is that if I shoot it right now, round 1, turn 1, it is kind of the worst time to cast it, because I get no bonus on the roll from the escalation die. Whereas if I wait 2 or 3 rounds, I'll get +2 or 3 on the roll. The thing is, this is not a fight we want to prolong to 3 rounds or 4 rounds or something. And we want this ongoing acid damage to keep ticking. And I don't even know... I wasn't even keeping track of ongoing acid damage on that zombie. Try and keep track of that here. Let's just pop off Acid Arrow. Be done with it. 13 versus physical defense is a miss. But again, we get to regain it during our next quick rest, so that's nice. Alright, well, you get 5 ongoing acid damage. Done. And that's all there is to say, really. We could teleport with High Blood Teleport to any nearby location I could see, but I don't want to expose myself. We want the fighter to expose himself. Okay, that's that. Cleric. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. Probably we want to throw out some sort of invocation. Maybe invocation of protection to nullify crits. I could see that coming into play. Or Spirits of the Righteous, just throwing that out to maybe do some damage. It's against mental defense, which his is kind of shit. We have a very good chance of hitting, doing some good damage, and my nearby ally with the fewest hit points. Unfortunately, that would be the rogue, who is not about to be hit. It would be nice if I could pick who gets the bonus hit points. Or the bonus to AC, because I'd like to give it to the fighter, but he'll almost never have the fewest hit points. Unless... Well, probably after this turn he'll have the fewest hit points. So maybe we wait on Spirit of the Righteous. Okay, we'll do that next turn. Probably when the fighter is dead. Let's use the Invocation of Protection. So no crits from the giant this battle. And then for our attack, we're just going to use Javelin of Faith. 20 versus PD is a hit. 7 holy damage. Better than nothing. Okay, Cobra Guardian. So again, I kind of had to just come up with this put this all in myself and kind of customize this thing, which was a good experiment in figuring out how to make custom creatures and do things like that. But as you can see from the module, each round the Stone Cobra Guardian can perform one of 3 attack patterns. It can call a shield from the wall of the arena, which deals 1d6 damage to any creatures between it and the Guardian. And then it grants it +1 defense, and can be sundered as normal to reduce damage. I didn't implement that, but I probably could have done that as well. You could just throw that in as a trait pretty easily. Sure. I mean, why not? So we go in here, we'll call this Sunder Shield, and just text is, if the Guardian is shielded upon being hit with attack, can break their shield, losing the shielded buff to lower the damage of the attack by 1d12. There you go. Leap and Slam. He leaps into the air, slams down 5 to 20 feet away from its starting position. Will not land directly on creatures, but any adjacent creatures take 1d4 damage. Save negates. Creatures that take damage are knocked prone. And then Twin Slash. I just gave his normal attack. He's powerful enough. The room is designed for the players to flank the Guardian, flee, push it into a chasm, or flee past it and hope it doesn't follow them. Shields on the walls can be used by PCs as well. So I guess he's going to draw his shield. So you could have this target in a line or something like that. Again, I don't know exactly how you want to write that out. Maybe in a group or something. But again, positioning doesn't usually matter too much. So for now, we just have it as like an attack versus one person. Regardless of where they actually are. In this case, it would make the most sense to be the fighter, though. So he's going to roll shield draw. He crit Fortunately, crits are turn into normal hits. Thank goodness. He would have already taken 20 damage. But instead, he just takes 10 damage, which is quite a bit. And we activate his shielded buff. So now he has a 20 AC. Oh, yeah, I guess that's what I did. Okay. And he gets that whether he hits or misses. But that's his turn. So that's that. He did not move to engage. He's kind of just waiting there stationary. So, the rogue could move to engage. But that would be something. We definitely don't have momentum. We don't have much. I guess probably we'll just use the evasive strike. We rolled an 8. So we do 1 damage, we don't get momentum, and we can't pop free. Brilliant. Not much else I can do. Okay, and then the fighter will, of course, move up to engage. No reason not to. And do that melee attack. A 7 versus AC? What the? Rolling 3s out here. And yeah, we're rolling 3s. Okay, well, we didn't get a natural even miss. We could use surprising if we wanted to drop it. And there doesn't seem to be much reason why I wouldn't use surprising. So we'll use surprising to bring it down to a 2, and then use grim intent. So we deal a D8 next time we miss, and we almost certainly will miss. And I guess I could use comeback strike, although you could also argue that we should wait on that until the escalation die goes up. And I would agree with that. Okay. So we already used Acid Arrow. Not a whole lot else the mage can do. This is a very simple spellcaster for combat purposes. Had I really known about this, I just grabbed the pre-gen because it was a wizard. But had I known, yeah, I probably would have just made my own that was a bit more combat focused, considering what we're doing here. Alright, we'll just roll Magic Missile. Simple 4 force damage. Okay, Cleric is definitely going to use Spirits of the Righteous, because now the fighter does have the lowest hit points. So we're just going to cast that. 17 versus mental defense is a hit, for sure. 13 holy damage. Bada bing, bada boom. And then again, I wish this just had a nice, simple effect, but it's pretty easy to just +4 AC until end of next source turn. There's probably an easy way. Why is it written like that? Why is that the good way to do it? I mean, I get that it's an actor, but what is this string of code words? Where is that information ever located? You know? Where is that information located? How am I supposed to know what K5EKQTJK is? Why can't I just write Holy Cleric? Maybe you can, I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe you can. Otherwise, you know, we'll figure it out. Okay, so +4 AC. He's got 23 AC. Then the cleric is going to heal, of course. So we're going to use that on the fighter. So he's going to use a recovery. He doesn't have many left. There you go. Not a big recovery either. And that is the cleric. All right, the Guardian. Now, the Guardian could target either the fighter or the rogue. If the DM was a dick, certainly the rogue would be a decent choice. But let's, yeah, we'll just do a basic smash against the fighter. And he critically failed. So the miss effect normally is half damage. I would say critical failure, you don't even get that. Sorry, pal. Better luck next time. And that's his turn. Now the assassin, the rogue, can use... yeah, probably evasive strike. It's really his best bet most of the time. 16 versus AC is a big old miss. So 1 damage. Just cannot catch a break. But as the escalation die goes up, we will improve, and the Guardian will not. It's important. Okay. The fighter, straight up melee. He missed, so he does get to do D8 on top of that, so 5 damage to this bad mamma jamma. 41. Thank you. And then he missed again. But it was a 3. So nothing there. We could use comeback strike now. But I still don't, he's unlikely to hit. So fuck it. Okay, the wizard, magic missile. No surprises there. 3 force damage. Lame as shit. The cleric probably doesn't need to heal anybody. We could do another invocation, but his other 2 invocations... yeah, it's only if there's a lot of... it's only if there's healing to be done, really. So I guess let's just throw a Javelin of Faith. 14 versus PD is a miss. 1 damage. We're whittling him down, man. We're getting there. We're actually doing pretty good. I think I nerfed this guy a bit too much. But okay, that effect ends now. He's back to 19 AC. And the golem will, the guardian will swing his sword again. 24 is definitely a hit. 11 damage to the fighter. He's staggered now. Rogue will try desperately to do his fucking evasive strike. Crit! That's what I'm talking about. Oof. Now, I don't know if crit doubles your sneak attack damage as well. That's a good question, actually. Do you total up everything and then crit it? And then double it? Oh, boy. Who knows the answer to such things? Let's see. Every attack roll that is natural 20 is a crit for double damage. It's a simple rule, and it's enough damage to be frightening. Yeah, oh, I mean, that's all it says. Every attack roll is double damage. You know. I think. I guess. Unless the sneak attack says something about crits. You can deal extra damage. Okay, I guess you double everything, right? So we would deal double that for 16 and double this. Crits are big, dude. He's down to 11. This guy's fucked. And I have seen a lot of people mention that about first edition 13th Age. That the way the encounter builder is kind of set up, it is a little easy for players. Like, it is kind of generous to players, and the fights are a little easy. And they do kind of rectify that a little bit with second edition to make the fights a little more balanced. Not that I really balanced this. I definitely made this too easy. But the fighter is going to oh, he pops free, by the way. The fighter is going to finish this, though. I know it. It's going to melee attack, 21, 6 damage. Boom. He did not quite finish it. And counterattack never comes up because this guy hits me, so that's not that. Okay, but the wizard will finish it with magic missile, 3 damage. Not quite. This dude has 2 health left. Okay, the cleric will do it. You watch with Javelin of Faith. 20, 10 damage. Kapah! Now, what we're seeing here, as I keep mentioning, I don't think it's really a good representation of 13th Age as a combat system and its strengths. Having one big mook with a big sword that just slashes out every round. It's like the most brain-dead, basic form of combat that can occur. So part of that is just due to the module as written. Like, you know, that encounter as written is meant to be sort of unwinnable in straight up combat. Like, you're kind of meant to do something more creative with it, much like that black pudding and stuff. Like, you're meant to... This whole thing is very OSR. And the only reason that I picked this is because it was like, oh yeah, that's a well-known dungeon. I've run it before. I'm sure that there's like a good map available for it. I'll just do that. But really, we would have been better just running like Lost Mines of Phandalin or something, which is very combat focused with big groups of enemies, you know, and things like that. I could very easily port that to 13th Age and it would work well. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave it off here. And I think that we may move on from Tomb of the Serpent King. Again, I really recommend it. I think it is great, especially if you are interested in more of that OSR sort of, kind of somewhat freeform, you know, narrative thinking kind of way of playing and stuff like that, where you'd have this unstoppable, somewhat statue here that you'd have to like lure over the cliff nearby or into the hammer trap in order to defeat it, stuff like that. Or just run, rather than what I'm doing here with like tactical combat. So I recommend Tomb of the Serpent King, but I just don't think it's that great of a fit for 13th Age. Unfortunately. I do like 13th Age, though. So, we might pivot this over to... I don't know. I mean, honestly, I would say some sort of D&D adventure module is probably the best thing to do. Just because I know it'll have a lot of combat and just kind of work with that. And will kind of just lead you along by the noses to each encounter. So we may just do Lost Mine of Phandalin, because I know there's going to be good maps for every encounter and every place in there. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll start a fresh series with 13th Age, and we'll make up some fresh characters, and we'll go through that. Because there's not going to be a single battle, I can assure you, there's not going to be a single battle in that adventure that's just like one big mook, or, you know, one big goon that you have to fight that just swings around a sword or his club or something. Like, all the fights are going to involve like a dozen goblins, or, you know, a dozen bandits, or orcs, or I don't know. I don't remember what else is in there. I mean, there's skeletons, there's sturges, there's all the classic D&D stuff. It's a very classic module now, so maybe we'll do that. And again, I mean, I kind of know how that plot goes, and I don't know how much role playing or narrative thinking we'll get into there, but definitely do a good amount of combat. So, I mean, there's the rest of the Tomb of the Serpent King map if you're interested. We certainly did not get too far. We saw about a third of it, maybe. But yeah, it like I said, it's a good adventure. But alright, I'm going to leave us off here. And I'm going to leave Tomb of the Serpent Kings off here. And we'll pick up some more 13th Age with probably Lost Mine of Phandalin. And I'm pretty certain that's what it's called. I always get a little confused. No, it's not. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I always misspeak. It's called Lost Mine of Phandelver. The main town that you visit in there is called Phandalin. But yeah, that's probably a good one for us to do. My name is Mang. This has been Solo Role Manging with 13th Age, Tomb of the Serpent King on Foundry VTT. I'll see you fine folks next time.